morning, everyone. Or maybe if you are in Vietnam or Indonesia, where our friend today, Florian, stays, it is evening, but good morning for us because we always want to start something, either an action or a thinking or a connection, and ultimately to have something to the next level of our life. And it is an interesting thing for us that we always welcome our friends who we don't even meet in person yet, but we have the energy, the passion, the dedication on people. And today, I think on the topic of people, we are so thankful to have Florian because his business is built around this topic of people-centric. So I would love to have Florian. You want to say hi to our audience?
Hey, Jen, thank you for inviting and thank you for having me here. Yeah, hello, everyone. I guess a quick intro about myself. My name is Florian. I'm coming from Belgium initially, but I got stuck during COVID in Bali, in Indonesia. I'm actually initially UX UI designer, and I was working for different startups in US, in San Francisco and New York, and traveling and working for my job at that time. And then early 2020, got stuck in this beautiful island, kept working from there, and got to meet my co-founder after a few months being stuck here. That's all. That's how it all started, basically. So Midstay started from that, context where we were stuck in that island, where the whole world was actually under COVID and under this pandemic, and everyone was working remotely at home. So even though it was bringing a lot of benefits, we also foresee a lot of challenges for these people to work and to keep being engaged. So that's how Midstay is born, from that context of this pandemic.
Wow. So a lot of great things happen because of the pandemic, even like something like online like now. Is this something that you are like staying? It's the background that you are having now? Is it where you stay? Or it's one of the places that you do the retreat?
So yeah, basically this the place at the back is one of our partner in Bali. So basically we have hundreds and thousands actually across Southeast Asia venue partners that are able to welcome teams of different size for basically enabling companies to bring their employees together for a few days in some beautiful venues that are basically made to bring a transformative experience for them and their team. Again, that has been proven to boost motivation, boost talent acquisition, talent retention, and making sure that company culture stay at the top for companies. Also making sure that people engagement is also improved, because we know that working remotely every day is something that you're basically losing that chemical interactions with your colleague that you don't see every day anymore. So it's super important, to make sure that this connection stays and that there's synergy and all these interactions are basically there to stay as well. So it's quite important to basically break that loneliness within the time you're actually working alone behind your computer, and having your company is bringing you in some kind of retreats to having a great experience all together.
Lovely. Let's go back a little bit. Like, did you start up before? And why do you feel this Midstay is something that like a part of your next journey?
Sure. So if we actually take a step back, Midstay at the very beginning was not at all for team retreats and for B2B and companies. And it is actually still both sides. So on one side of the business of Midstay, we are developing a tech platform that is basically connecting every remote workers in the world. And by proximity, we are basically connecting these people to recreate a sense of colleague environment. So meaning that if you are used to go for lunch with your colleagues, if you used to go for after work, if you used to go for coffee and all this physical moment that allows you to stay active in your social life, this is not anymore, right? Because you're staying at home every day and you're not having your colleagues anymore. So what Midstay on the B2C side is offering as a self-platform, as a free platform, we are connecting these remote workers in between each other by proximity basis, by interest basis, and by all different data points that people are giving us on the platform. So we basically match them together for having this kind of meetup that allows them to interact and keep having a social bubble. On the other side, we had many companies coming to us asking for these moments of team gatherings, where companies from Australia and Singapore came to us for organizing team retreats in Bali, and then we expanded more to more destinations. Now we are across more than 50 destinations in Southeast Asia, all across APAC region actually as well. And so this is where it's quite interesting, because on one side, we're helping directly the employees, freelancers, remote workers that are feeling lonely and feeling isolated in front of their computer. So we offer them a tool to connect with other people around them. And on the other side, with team retreats, we are enabling any companies with tools, with logistics, with narrative, with storytelling, with matching the business needs as well, with some activities and business facilitators. We are bringing a whole package tailored to their needs to make sure that they can achieve the next milestone. So it's not just a cost for them, it's really an investment where they see the outcomes on the next months after the retreat.
Yeah. It's beautiful and comprehensive. I think we can find a lot about that on the website too. So we really want to dig a bit deeper inside you. Do you feel lonely when COVID happened? Maybe you were saying yes. What was that process for you to actually got out of that? Because I think it's not about COVID, it's about an opportunity where we probably felt stuck in the past, and the journey of went to the other side that you did. How was that process?
Yeah, so it's quite an interesting question. So indeed, I think since I'm young, I wanted to create my own baby, my own startup. Just to give a bit of context and a step back on my career and background. I'm UX UI designer, where I've been freelancing for some companies in San Francisco, New York, and Australia. I was coming back every time in Belgium because I was organizing a music festival that I brought up to 20,000 festival goers in 2019. So managing over 500 people during 3 days of festival, managing over 50 managers during the whole year. And that at the age of 22, 23 years old. So I was always driven by creating projects and, like bringing people together to make things happening. And so early 2020, when I decided to come to Bali for a few months to work from here, after months I got stuck here because of the COVID, and I didn't take the repatriation flight from Belgium. So I decided to stay there. And what happened is that we've seen a lot of changes for remote workers. At the beginning with Midstay, we were not only focusing on that social aspect, we were focusing in a lot of different things. And we were targeting digital nomads, where we wanted basically to bring a platform as Midstay V1. It was a platform that was a multi-service platform where we were integrating, co-working spaces, fitness gym, visa, scooter, like all the things you need when you relocate to a new place, plus a social layer, where that social layer, we were providing that social tools, where we understood after a few months that most of our users, 80% of the users, were coming on the platform to connect with people around them and not to use the other services we integrated. So what we decided after 6 months of launching the platform, so we launched in June 2022, end of 2022, we decided to actually trash all the services we integrated and focus solely on this one thing that people were coming for on our platform, which was actually looking for people around them to connect and to get some kind of IRL experiences and not only digital experiences. So that's also why you see here the tagline of Midstay is connect beyond screens, which really define the target we're actually after, which is remote workers, but you connect beyond your screen. So you're actually getting out of your screens and you're connecting with people in real life and physically. So that's the whole purpose of Midstay, is about connections of people and proper, proper connections, but as well human connections that are, to me, what makes every memories. I mean, I'm a big believer and of like a huge, let's imagine two experiences, right? One is actually a gray, rainy afternoon in Belgium, and one is actually a sunny beach activity in Portugal. If you're actually surrounded with the wrong people in Portugal, your time will not be the best memories. If you're surrounded with the best people in the rainy days in Belgium, actually you will remember mostly this activity, even though the context wasn't the best. So I really believe in that, like the right people, surrounding ourselves with the right people, and trying to find the right people. So with Midstay, you can find these interesting like-minded professionals around you through our tech platform. Yeah.
So I'm really kind of like want to dig into the question of the right. So how did you define, how did you feel that Midstay actually the right thing for you to do? I think it has something to do with the audience who probably are entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs have a lot of ideas, and what would be the right, or let's say the idea that they should actually execute and make a business out of it. How did you define for yourself that yes, Midstay is something that I'm gonna want to pursue to realize the dream of starting my baby, right? My startup.
Yeah, I guess that all comes back to, you know, this what shapes me. I think as I mentioned, I'm really into these social connections, and I do believe of all these interactions. And I wanted just to bring as well a tool that I wanted myself to have when I was, you know, from San Francisco to New York or Australia. I see myself still coming in these big cities, knowing no one, and willing to connect with people that were maybe also speaking French, that were also maybe Belgian, or that were in my range of age, or that was also interested in product design, or that was also interested in startup or in AI. And, you know, like just making sure that you can find the right people around you is so important. And currently we don't have a right tool that offer that on a proximity basis, if it's not like dating app or things like that, which we are not at all. So it's quite interesting to actually explore that, you know, needs for people to keep. It's a bit of a networking level up game as well. You know, people are really finding new collaboration on the platform, really finding new people to hang out with, but all the time knowing that these people could also bring them something professionally, and that you know, they could happen some interesting discussion because they actually have some professional interest in common.
So how did you stay focused on that Midstay? Because I know entrepreneurs have a lot of things to feel like provoking, or maybe to make them feel that they need to do because they want to make impact. So did you feel that you have to really say no, or how did you stay on that kind of road of Midstay?
I think being laser focused is one of the main challenges. That's clearly something. Like being a first-time entrepreneur and founder of a startup, that has been my biggest, you know, challenge at the beginning. Everything is possible when you start something, right? And how do you stay actually on the right path, on the right rails, without being distracted by other things you could do, and that is maybe not in your vision, maybe not in the long-term vision or mission of the company. It's quite difficult, to be very honest. And I think like one of the key thing is actually just questioning myself all the time. Okay, but for what am I doing that? What is Midstay purpose? And does this actually fall into the scope of what we want to do as a big thing? And I think, yeah, I would say that's been one of the biggest challenges, that's for sure, being laser focused. And we should do just one thing after the other and not trying to do everything, because otherwise you're actually achieving nothing.
Yeah, so it's like we can actually achieve everything, but not one at one time. I love that saying. So what about the right people? How could you know that you actually surround the right people?
I mean, that's been one question I was actually discussing yesterday with one of our investors, you know, and he was like, okay, but it's quite funny. You're feeling that you have the right team. And he was believing as well. Indeed, we have we have now almost 20 people working for us. And he said like, look, it really looks like the team is great. They're doing a great job and they're actually performing well. But how come do you believe in them? Because they are all distributed teams, so you don't have any office, you operating fully remotely. How do you really trust them? How do you really think and see that they are
Because they all
performing?
work online.
Everyone is online. I mean, Midstay is all about that, right? So we're offering a product for remote workers. So if you were ourselves asking our employees to be at the office every day, that would not make sense. So we actually living what we are offering as a service. And so it's important that our employees knows what are the changes, what are, what it is looking like to actually work in such a setup and a new way of working. So yeah, I guess we had a lot of different challenges around that, and understanding how we were actually able to, bring trust, bring transparency, bring process, bring the right tools for people to actually perform well, even while not being at the office. And that's been also a challenge for us, even though we are offering something for people like that. We were in a need to understand how it's actually working and how we can make remote work works.
Wow. So I think that this is interesting to see, like, the right people through virtually and through offline. Do you think they are different?
I mean, it's always funny to see for the first time, some people, right? It's always funny to see that you are maybe thinking that he was taller, maybe. I mean, it's right. It's always nice to break, and that's what I love, because Midstay is also that it's actually about bringing people out of their office and out of their home office to actually see for the first time some colleagues, and we are seeing with a lot of team retreats we are seeing a lot of people that are actually never seen each other, and it's beautiful to see these things happening. So yeah, I guess sometimes it's not what we expect of people, but it's most of the time positive. And in the positive way, we are well surprised, and that's great to just be open for that and see what.
Being open. So if you had to really squeeze it to become something like very condensed, how to be human-centric or people-centric online, and how can do it offline? Are they actually the same?
I think, to me, like, being business people-centric is all about being very close to the feedback loop. So making sure that we are basically working closely with our users, understanding what they want, what they need, what are the friction currently with the product. And so to me, this is really like about being people-centric as a business, speaking as a business. How do we make sure that our product is actually, solving a need and being used and reused by your users? Is because we listen them. We put in place some processes that we enable some feedback loop that are quite fast, and that we are getting a lot of insights from the people using our platform. So to me, this is really about like building product around user. I mean, for users, thanks to users, with users. People-centric is as well something we are seeing a lot in the team retreats we're organizing for B2B for companies, because for sure we're having these interaction that are the main core of these events, right? So we want people, if they call us for creating team retreats, transformative team retreats, is because they want their employees to actually bond together, to create some new relationship, to explore new way of communicating, to explore different cultures as well, to make sure that they can actually understand better physically, just like that. After, it will be easier to communicate online. So it's all about human again, and being people-centric, because it's about enabling things that people are actually used to do in physical life, and then you bring that as an asset back home, and you keep using that asset while communicating online.
Lovely. So it's kind of like virtualize physical life, and also the key thing is like keep the feedback loop and how people actually talk about what they experience. So is anything like, let's say, the common things or the relationship between people-centric and like yourself self-awareness? How does it link to our own self-awareness or how we understand about ourselves?
Yeah, self-awareness. That's a good question. How does it link to the fact that we are building things for people? I mean, I think I've been always very sensitive to relation of people, and I think that's just how I am. So I wanted to create that tool that were really people centric. And I don't know, yeah, I think it's very hard to reply what is basically the why I am after that. But as you might know me a bit better now, after this few minutes of discussion, I do think that is just how I'm born, and I like to actually see people, you know, hanging out together, speaking about interesting topics, and just networking. So I've been always like the one trying to bring people together. Either it's family, either it's friends, either it's strangers that are actually asking me for intro. I'm always the one going and being down for giving any contact and introducing people. So I do think that there is a value in the network itself, and having a tool that allows you to connect further, faster, and simpler to people on a professional basis with the common traits that you are also a remote worker, and that you might not reflect yourself as being at the office every day, or as another type of worker. It's important for these people to be part of something and feel part of that community. And so that's basically why myself, also as a remote worker, I wanted to basically give back to that community.
So what you said is has something to do with really like listening to what do we feel when we do the things, and in your case, especially when seeing people together, you feel that's kind of like, yeah, it is something that made me feel the fulfillment.
It is fulfillment. Yeah, it's a lot of satisfaction. I mean, to me, seeing two people, bonding together and speaking about things that they might not even think of, both of them on their own side, but that chemical interaction is actually bringing that idea, right? So these things are just beautiful and feels even magic, right?
Yeah. So when I remember, I was like a kid and I didn't speak much for almost 20 years. And when I started speaking more, and then I saw other people who actually were so shy and started like speaking up, I had that kind of feeling too. So it's like it was let's say a verification or validation of what made us feel fulfilled. So we kind of wrap up here a little bit. Like, if you have to tell a story, do you think it is like anyone who now probably feel lonely or feeling like they are a little bit distant with other people, what would be that story? Because you met many people online and also offline, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, I do think that the interactions are completely different, offline and online. I guess online is a great first icebreaker to understand if you actually could bond around a coffee. But look, I think if we would have together this podcast either in Bali or either in Hanoi, that would maybe have we would maybe have seen we can make the second part in one of the places if you want. But we would have seen maybe other topics coming in, because there is that interaction, physical interactions, that is actually there to trigger things, and that's actually something that you cannot really explain. So yeah, I guess like this is why I'm driven to like create all that, is because we are basically trying to bring people back together after seeing that all these tools are now making us much more isolated than even before.
Do you remember any story that like from any audience of this day that kind of inspire you? Because
Yeah, exactly.
some of us.
Exactly. So I remember once, it was a few weeks ago. So Midstay, the platform is across the whole world, but we have key markets and key hubs that we're expanding to. So the three biggest one is actually Buenos Aires, Istanbul, and Jakarta. And we've seen in Istanbul a solo mom that was actually working remotely. And as a solo mom, she wanted actually to get out of her apartment and she wanted to meet other people like her. She actually got to connect with another solo mom, and they've been having a restaurant together. And they replied, and I mean, we've seen the interactions publicly because it was on a post. That it was just something that they were just so happy to actually connect with such a person. It's not on, you know, Tinder or Bumble or this dating app. You can actually find a solo mom to go for lunch, right? So it's very about like connecting certain persona of people under that type of way of working, which is remote working, with the same or the complementary one. So allowing people to either fulfill each other for different informations, or to really bond on something that they have in common together, which was here the case because of two solo moms were actually feeling lonely at home, and instead of eating alone their lunch, they actually get together to have a lunch together.
Lovely. I'm just thankful that you're doing it, and I just really want anyone who listening to it right now or later, if you think of anyone that actually in the moment of thinking that they are alone, because actually there's a lot of people actually thinking like that, and but we are not, right? So I think we just allow ourselves to step one more step to know that we are not alone. That there's someone out there. There's some platforms out there and trying to connect and try to bring us like a light or like a moment. So I was depressed, like let's say almost 10 years ago, and I think it was really about we created the story in our mind, and we thought that our people didn't really know it, but actually not. So I think that's beautiful story. Congratulations to the lady. And we never know, one day we also receive something because people will listen to it and they may find somebody that they can actually connect, or maybe they find the group of people or your event. So if you have to choose one coming event that you think people definitely need to check out, what would be that one?
I mean, it's not on Midstay, but I'm coming next week to Jakarta for Tech in Asia. So if anyone is there next week, I'm happy to have a coffee.
Oh, lovely. Yes, here we go. Or otherwise, we know that there are different continuous programs in this day. So if you need to write a book, what would be the title?
Writing a book. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's a good question. I never had this one. Yeah, that's a very good question. It will be about connections, and maybe it will be something like cheesy, like all about connections or something like that.
Yeah, okay. Connection-centric, right?
Connection-centric. Yeah.
Lovely.
Connection is connection is yeah, I don't know, actually. It's a very good question.
Because, you know, like after so many years of Midstay, I think if it can condense in some kind of way, people can digest or can learn. So who would be the one, or what is the thing that you want to connect next?
Connecting with someone, you mean, or connecting with
so someone with the universe? What is the thing that you want to connect the most?
I would love to meet one day Barack Obama.
Oh wow, lovely. Why not? Maybe he's gonna also come to one of the Midstay event, and maybe somebody will say also want to meet Florian. And I know that how to meet you. People know that you are in Indonesia now, and also how people can like check
Contact
out
me.
about you.
Yeah. So they can find me on LinkedIn. So simply writing Florian Jacques, Jacqueus, and I guess you will find me there.
Yeah, lovely. And no matter what is online or offline, I believe that you can connect with Florian, and as long as you use a human-centric mindset to understand and connect. And with that, thank you for joining us from Indonesia, and
thank you, Jen.
We see you. Yeah.
See you soon. Bye.